Hello everyone, my name is Jeff Neville and welcome to Selective Imagery. Hello everyone and welcome to Birds Galore. We start off with some video footage of spoonbills with a wood stork. This is in Huntington Beach State Park in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. And this footage varies. Some of this I may have taken over a month ago. Some of it would be like within the last week. So the footages that you're going to see are from a wide range of dates. I've kind of been doing a lot of other types of photography and haven't had time to put together a lengthy bird video, so I'm making up for it here. You're going to see a lot of videos and a lot of still images as well. But this is like on an island, and this is taken with the 800 PF in DX crop mode to get that 2.3 times crop, and that's the only way that you're going to get these birds in a video. And if you're shooting for stills, this is where the 800 is a must. I mean, anything shorter than that is you're going to be doing some real extreme cropping on your images. So here I was actually sitting on a bench that they just recently installed, and sitting on it sideways and twisting my body and resting the camera on a vertical pier footing, and the foot of the camera lens was on that while I was filming. And here's some still images. Blue heron here, a couple shots of that. This is over by the nature, actually no, this is on the guardrails coming into the park. And some wood storks, and you can see man's contribution there with the empty water bottle. So the storks, I mean, they're all over the place. They're flying across. They like to go on tops of the pine trees, the large pine trees. They also like to gather along the where the water meets the land, basically, near the reeds. So this is a common early morning shot where this year we had a lot of wood storks. We really did. Now, strangely enough, not so much on the marsh side where we usually would see them. They were on the pond side this year. And here's a video of a skimmer. You'll see this in action. And I'll just let you enjoy watching this for a few minutes. It's a bit lengthy, but not everybody gets to see skimmers where they live, so I figured I'd share this video with you. And this is in extreme slow motion, because if this was full speed, you would probably end up with a sore neck trying to follow it zigzagging across your screen. It's a shame that it was only one. I mean, it's nice when you're lucky enough to get a small group, and I do mean a small group, 2 or 3. You don't often see you know, really, really large groups of them, at least not here at the park. If you get 2 or 3 together, then you feel that you're lucky. In this case, it was just this lone skimmer all by itself. And as it banks and turns around, it just flies over the water for a little bit, and eventually it will come down close and open up its bill again and start feeding. And there we go. Might have gotten something there where the head kind of like jerked a little bit. Basically, when it senses a fish touches part of the bill, then it clamps down on the fish, and it usually just swallows it while it continues to fly. But it certainly knows how to move around, that's for sure. Like I said, if this was full speed, you'd be like, oh my God. Believe me, not the easiest thing to follow with a camera. Now we're going to move on to another video of the wood storks, and this was during the fish kill event. You may have seen some of this video footage before, and the wood storks to me are kind of like the marsh's version of a vulture. I mean, they will eat dead and decomposing fish where most other birds will not. And here you have an anhinga that has a small shrimp, and you'll see it flip it up and down in the air and catch it, and it seems to take forever before it finally gets it down its throat and swallows it. There you go. Now this is what I call a seagull having a fish stick, and here's a quick video. Somehow this seagull managed to catch a fish and a stick at the same time. And it took quite a while before, I think it was so worried about dropping the fish and not being able to get it back. Eventually it did succeed. And of course, once it flies off, there's always another seagull that magically appears to try to steal the fish. And one thing I recommend to people is stay on your subject for a while. You know, you're going to get a lot of different angles, you're going to get a lot of different shots. You know, here it escaped that initial confrontation, and now here comes another seagull from the marsh side heading towards it and is going to start banking around and go after it. So you get a lot of great shots by not just taking one or two and giving up on the subject. This is a quick video of a great egret that's just standing on a branch off of a broken tree, basically. There's not much of a tree there. And you can see it's pretty windy. Followed by a tricolored heron, which likes to hang out by the reeds. And, you know, all the ripples in the water. I mean, this is not slowed down. It's just from a very windy day. Great blue heron makes an appearance, and eventually it will decide to take a little bit of a walk, and of course I'm hoping it's going to try to get some food. And I was pleasantly surprised that the camera was able to, and you'll see it here, keep pretty good focus on the head of the bird when it gets behind those grasses sticking up around its head. I mean, it may have lost focus a little bit here or there, but overall I was very pleased with how sharp it was. And this is very early in the morning, and to be honest with you, typically if I'm going to shoot video, I'm taking it before the sun even comes up over the tree line, for the most part. And mainly it's for, I hate to say it, it's for, because I'm cheap, I guess. I mean, I have a lot of gear, but to buy, say, a 3-stop ND filter to put on, you know, some of these lenses that have like 95mm threads for filters isn't cheap. So I try to do my video early before I have to worry about having an ND filter. And here's a video of a snowy egret, and this one's going to get shoved out of the way by one that was very, very vocal, making a lot of noise, causing a lot of trouble. And you can see it flying in here and kind of shoos the other one away, and you can see its beak is open, it's making a lot of noise, and it wants that spot because that's just prime feeding area to get the small fish. And you'll see it get one here, you know, in a few seconds, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. You know, almost dropped it back in the water, but it recovered. And of course it's sounding off to the other one, you know, move away from me, this is my area now. But you always have one snowy egret in a bunch that wants to be in complete control of the neighborhood. Of course, if that was a great blue heron that moved in close to it, it wouldn't be so tough. Yeah, they like to be on the embankment or near the embankment, where on the marsh side the cord grass builds up, and they just kind of hang out along the edge, and then you have pockets of water, especially when you transition from low tide and the tide starts to change and you start getting in ocean water coming in through the marsh and collecting, because it's bringing fish with it. So the birds will hang out on the banks of the marsh side and basically just have a great time eating, and you can see the attitude here. But that's where they like to get their food, is either fish that are trapped in small puddles of water when the tide goes out, or when the tide is starting to come in. Here's a skimmer that got a little bit close that I was able to get a shot of. And here's an Ibis, and this was during the fish kill era, and that crab isn't moving at all. I mean, normally the Ibis would yank each leg off and then swallow the body, but here it didn't put up much of a fight. And once in a great while you manage to get an osprey getting a fish. And here's an anhinga that's on one of the vertical posts for the water control valve that lets water in and out of the pond in one of the sections. And it's just preening itself, having a good time. Now here's like I said, the wood storks love to go in the large pine trees, and they just congregate and hang out. So they'll either be on the edges of the where the water meets the reeds, or they'll congregate in trees, or you'll have some groups in trees and some in the water. So they're all over, but they haven't really been hanging out that much in the marsh. I mean, a lot of the species that typically would hang out in the marsh, especially during the tide changes this year, were hanging out by the pond. And of course, we had the fish kill, so for certain birds, the storks being one of them, they had no problem eating the dead fish. This is another island out in the middle of the pond. And here the water level is really where you like it to be. And this is only this way because we had rain. This is on the marsh side. We got the three amigos here having a good time. And a great blue heron on the marsh side as well. Caught a fish where this tricolored heron is still trying to figure out where the fish is. And a great egret that's preening itself with the morning sun hitting it. And I had to throw in an alligator video for my friend Roy Bixby. Unfortunately, they're pretty much in their version of hibernation right now. It's getting cold enough at night where they're not really out much during the day anymore. This is an early morning shot with a small group of great egrets and wood storks and one blue heron in the left-hand side of the screen. I think I filmed this one with my Manfrotto 608 fluid head on a tripod, and that's why it's so steady. Yeah, one thing I have to, it's going to come with practice, get used to adjusting the drag enough where I get a little bit smoother panning action. When you have the drag set too loose, it can appear a little bit jerky because the slightest touch makes it move, and you want to have a little resistance. And some people actually put rubber bands on the handle and they wrap it around the arm and they pull the rubber band, and that way they get a smoother movement. I have not tried that technique yet, but that is something that people do. And here we have a bald eagle on this tree branch, an osprey in the sky, and the osprey will land on the same branch that the eagle will. There's a certain tree within the park where these birds like to perch and just see what's going on. And here you have a kingfisher flying low from the water and then going across on the pond side. Here's a couple of skimmers. Now we had two of them and pretty much one on top of the other in flight. And I do like ibis. We've had some ibis this year, but a lot of them have just flown over and flown by. Not in huge groups like we typically have gotten. And I always like to take pictures of the smaller birds as well. Here's a gray egret that got a decent sized fish on the marsh side. There's a fish on the bottom left jumping out of the water with those skimmers flying around, and a snowy egret preening while it stands on the cord grass. The next two shots are an adult eagle, a juvenile eagle trying to steal that fish from an osprey. And I really think that the adult is trying to train the youngster how to steal food from the osprey. That's just my opinion. Here's an adult very early in the morning. This was in a different area. This is near what they call the Murrells Inlet marsh walk. It isn't quite in the marsh, but believe me, it's a stone throw away from where it is in this tree line. Here it decided to perch on a metal roof from somebody's dock, roof over their dock that they have in their backyard. And a bunch of people ran over basically on private property to try to get an image of this bird on a metal roof, which, although yes, it's an eagle, it's not exactly an award-winning photo of it being on a metal roof. But unfortunately, not everybody respects people's personal property. I chose to film it from an area that has public access. I did not trespass. Now here you're going to see this is a juvenile red-tailed hawk, and here's when the sun poked up, and you can see much prettier image there. And here's a video. We'll have a few video clips of this hawk. Beautiful bird. And you know, it knows, it sees us. There's a few of us there taking pictures of it or video, and it's eyeballing us, it's looking at us. It's totally aware of where we are, and we're trying to make sure we give it space. I mean, it's pretty high up in the tree. None of us got a ladder and tried to climb up and get real close. That is a joke for those of you who might have thought I'm being serious. If you know me, you know that I'm not overly serious. But this is for this before the sun rays hit that branch and illuminated it nice with some color. At first we thought this was a Cooper's hawk, and they can look very close to each other. You had to go through a few books to verify this was a juvenile red-tailed hawk. Now that small bird you just saw show up in a subsequent video, you're going to see several birds that decide that they don't really want that hawk around anymore, and they actually start hitting the hawk to try to get it to leave. So that'll be in the next video clip, which will be coming up in a minute or so. But I thought you'd just like to get some relaxing footage here of this hawk. You see, the bird's thinking about it. It's really close. I'm not sure what kind it is. I mean, there were several different looking birds. That almost looks like a blue jay, but you know, I could be wrong. In the other video, a bird that goes at it did not appear to be a blue jay. I'm not sure what kind it was. I mean, the hawk's basically just ignoring it. I'm sure if it wanted to take it out, it could. I'm sure it finds it to be annoying. Okay, now we have the video coming up where the hawk's going to be facing. Okay, it's not this one. This is a short one where the light was really nice. Now we go to where the hawk is turned around. You're going to get the rear end view here, but you're going to see the small birds with its feet actually slamming into the side of the hawk, trying to get it to leave. There's one hit right there. It just flew over it. It seems to always hit it, get on the right side, and then bam, pushes on it with its feet. So there will be some point in time where this red-tailed hawk just says, you know, this just is not worth getting harassed. I am kind of surprised that it just lets it continually hit it and not just take it out, because I'm sure it could without too much trouble if it wanted to. Another hit right there. I'll tell you, the small birds, they have a lot of guts. I mean, they have no problem, especially during the nesting season, they have no problem trying to chase away predators that are so much bigger than they are. And there we go. It still chases after it as it flies off. And this is just a couple shots of the homemade docks for the boats. And there's the eagle on top of the roof on one of them. And here it is on the cross on the top of a church. It's shooting through the tree line. Here's a little better image here. You can see like the little wires coming up to try to keep the birds off the cross, but you know, it perches right at the very top, so there's not much you can do there. And this is now heading towards what we call Veterans Pier. That's part of the Marsh Walk area. That's full of restaurants. And here's a boat that got washed up and grounded during a storm quite a while ago, and they're trying to get it back in the water now. And we were wondering where all the brown pelicans were at the park. Well, they're all here at the marsh, because this is where the boats go in and out, take people sport fishing and whatnot. This is where people do crabbing. So you know, you're right at the ocean, and they're going to be where the food is. And normally, you know, you'd have a group of them at Mullet Pond, you know, at the park, and they'd be, you know, cannonballing their bodies into the water trying to get fish. But you know, when you don't have any fish, they're not going to show up. So one of the effects of the fish kill. Normally they would be there right now getting fish. And this is in the Marsh Walk area as well, which is really nice. If you're ever in Murrells Inlet, go to the Marsh Walk. There's a lot of great restaurants in there. You can rent jet skis. They have party boats that go out. You know, dolphin watches and stuff like that. And you know, you'll see the pelicans. You'll see the kingfishers. You'll see you know, plenty of gulls getting fish. And you know, it's a very nice walk, and a pleasant area to go to and visit. And here we have our eagle at the top of the tree. And now these aren't award-winning images here. I mean, I'm shooting through the tree, and this is a different eagle eating a fish. And what makes this last image interesting is you have an eagle and the red-tailed hawk on the same tree. They don't usually get along to do that. Thank you for watching my channel. I really appreciate it. Please give me a like and leave a comment, pro or con. Just please be respectful. And if you really enjoyed it, you know, please subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. And remember my motto, enjoy life, capture some of it, get out there and get some of your best images, irregardless of the genre that you choose to shoot. Take care and God bless.